Great changes begin with great vision. This is true in life as well as in business. Any church leader worth his or her salt has expectations for the people who work under and alongside them. And expectations are a direct result of a clear vision. If you don't have an end goal in mind, then you can't create expectations to guide your volunteers towards that end goal. And if there aren't expectations set in place for your leaders, then they'll never be able to meet them, much less exceed them. As a church leader, it's your responsibility to clarify the win for your small group leaders. You think your volunteers are rock stars, and they really are. You don't have to convince us of that. Any person who volunteers his or her time to be a steady presence in the lives of kids and teenagers deserves an earnest thank you and a pat on the back, and maybe even one of those giant checks for $1 million. And if you're at all familiar with the unique joys of small group leader recruitment, then you know how special it is to find someone who is willing to sacrifice their free time in order to pour into kids and teenagers. But if you also want kids and teenagers and parents to think that your small group leaders are rock stars, then expectations have to be set in place. Great expectations lead to wins, and great expectations require clarity. I've experienced ministry fails because of a lack of clarity. Years ago, we had 4 adult guys approach us about joining our middle school team. And these guys were such good small group leaders that when the time came, I felt confident about making them small group leader coaches. Now, coaches are leaders that have a small group of adult small group leaders rather than a small group of students. And they leapt at the chance because they were so full of passion for ministry and the ideas about how to maximize small group leader influence. Passion fuels passion, and these guys had passion to spare. But passion also has to be reined in from time to time. Imagine a horse in a field, big and strong and ready at the drop of a hat to run. But a horse does you no good if you can't rein it in, tame it, and if you can't direct it. These leaders, they were the horses, and they ran fast. In fact, they ran too fast and ended up overwhelming the new volunteers they were trying to inspire. All because I didn't take the time to sit down and simply communicate my expectations. In addition to clarifying the right kinds of expectations, there's also wisdom in setting achievable ones. A person who ordinarily doesn't enjoy reading probably shouldn't set a goal of reading 100 books in a year. And it may seem like your small group leaders are superhuman, but they're not. Superheroes? Sure. Superhuman? Not likely. And they're limited by time and work and life just like everyone else. So when you're setting up and clarifying your expectations for them, make sure that your expectations are achievable. When it comes to setting and communicating expectations, setting achievable ones will increase your leader's chance of success. And success leads to further success. And when your leaders begin to see that they can make an impact in their few by meeting and then exceeding those expectations, they will continue to rise to the occasion because a little goes a long way, especially in ministry. So take ownership over your small group leader expectations. We live in a day and a time when it's very easy and convenient to point fingers out at other people when things fail. And sometimes, yes, it's someone else's fault. But more often than not, when things slip through the cracks, when things don't go as planned, when situations get out of hand, it's because the leader didn't guide well enough. Didn't set appropriate boundaries, didn't set high expectations, didn't inspire the people working with them to go above and beyond, or didn't pave the way for other people's success. So take ownership. Want quality leaders? Set quality expectations. Take every opportunity to communicate those expectations and clarify those wins. But all of us know that expectations, even clearly communicated ones, aren't always met. And it's necessary to deal with those instances too. Confronting a small group leader and telling them that he or she isn't doing the best job possible is one of the hardest parts of leading a ministry. But let me ask you, if you don't do it, who will? Whose job is it to have those conversations? And while this aspect of ministry leading isn't a pleasant one, it's the one that you've been entrusted with. And it's important. It's important to the health of your ministry. It's important to your health as a ministry leader. And so when the time comes, you need to do it. So here are some thoughts on how you can approach it. First of all, assume the best. People usually know when they're not doing a good job. So ask them how you think it's going. They'll usually move the conversation in the way that you want it to go. Secondly, consider the volunteer. Is his or her underperformance a result of a lack of effort, or maybe it's just their gifting? Give them an out and let them go. Often it's this push that helps them find what they're really good at. Relational ministry requires time, it requires patience, and the sooner you can replace someone who's struggling, the better for the kids, the better for the students, and the better for the volunteer. The bottom line is that people rise to the occasion where there is an occasion to rise to. And when you take time to set and communicate appropriate small group leader expectations, you are paving the way for wins. And when the small group leader win happens, everybody wins. The ministry, the small group leader, the kid or the student, the parent, and the guardians. Everybody wins in a big way. They win in life-changing ways. And isn't that the point? Your job is to clarify how they go about doing that. Your job is to set clear and achievable expectations so that they know what a win looks like. Your job is to inspire them towards those wins and all the wins that exist